Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Raymond Yeung. Here are tonight's top stories. Charles becomes King of Britain on the death of his mother, Queen Elizabeth. Locally, health authorities say public health care may be affected as more children contract COVID. And lawmakers again press the government to relax quarantine rules. Britain has a new monarch, Charles III. He succeeds his mother, Elizabeth, who was died at the age of 96, after 70 years on the throne. An era was about to close as a plane carrying members of the British royal family landed in Aberdeen. They were driven to Balmoral Castle, where 96-year-old Queen Elizabeth was under medical supervision after her health worsened. In London, people gathered outside Buckingham Palace, where the flag flew at half-mast.
The death of Her Majesty the Queen is a huge shock to the nation and to the world. Through thick and thin, Queen Elizabeth II provided us with the stability and the strength that we needed. It's an extraordinary achievement to have presided with such dignity and grace for 70 years. Earlier this week, at 96, she remained determined to carry out her duties as she appointed me as her 15th Prime Minister.
Called to be Queen.
In February 1952, Elizabeth cut short a visit to Kenya and returned to London as monarch following the death of her father, King George VI. Hers was the first televised crown coronation, paving the way for intensive media coverage of royalty. The trend was obvious, as the fairy tale romance of Elizabeth's eldest son, Charles and Diana, ended in a divorce. Then tragedy. Diana's death in a car crash in Paris in 1997 moved the nation. Last year, Elizabeth's husband, Prince Philip, died at the age of 99. This image of her grieving alone at the funeral tugged on heartstrings worldwide, especially for those who also lost their loved ones during COVID. Their son Charles, who formally became Prince of Wales in 1969, is now king, but no date has been set for his coronation. At 73, he's the oldest person to ascend the British throne. Although not as popular as his mother, Charles is expected to take the British monarchy in a new direction. Tributes to Elizabeth have come from her subjects, ranging from ordinary Britons to former prime ministers.
So she was literally she's an iconic woman. She's such a legacy. She reigned for over 70 years. So she started at such a young age. And yeah, it's just heartbreaking.
Just to come and pay my respect. I obviously British citizen, the only queen I've known, and she's just been a constant through everything that's good and bad.
When she spoke to people, you could see, their eyes lit up, and there was that great warmth that came across from her. And I think that was tremendous. She had a great sense of humour as well, but it was that interest in people. She devoted her life to serving the people of this country.
She was a peacemaker. She brought people together. She listened to people. She never told you what her view was on any partisan issue. She wanted people to come together, and she did bring people together.
World leaders have sent messages of condolence to Britain on the death of the Queen. Other people around the globe expressed their grief by placing flowers and candles outside British embassies. Sachin Kapve reports.
President Xi Jinping was given a royal welcome when he visited Britain in 2015. Today he sent his condolences to the royal family and to the people of Britain on behalf of the Chinese government. China deeply mourns the death of Queen Elizabeth II, said Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning. She noted that Elizabeth was the first British monarch to visit China and contributed greatly to improving Sino-British relations. US President Joe Biden and his wife visited the British Embassy in Washington to sign the condolence book. Biden described Elizabeth as a great lady. He ordered flags at the White House and all federal buildings and military bases to be flown at half-staff. The European Union followed the gesture. Australia honoured the Queen with a 96-gun salute outside Parliament in Canberra. Keeping with traditional Maori culture, the group performed the haka at the Auckland War Memorial in New Zealand. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern signed a condolence book and said New Zealand would hold a state memorial service after the official funeral in Britain.
Today, we mourn the loss of our Queen of Canada. She cared about Canada. She called Canada her second home.
The Queen, who is also Canada's head of state, visited the country 22 times. In Russia, mourners have been placing flowers and candles outside the British Embassy. The Kremlin website had a message of condolence from President Vladimir Putin. In Japan, people paid their respects by laying flowers outside the British Embassy in Tokyo. Sachin Kapve, HKIBC.
In Hong Kong, the Union Jack was lowered to half-mast at the British Consulate General as a mark of respect to Elizabeth. Chief Executive John Lee expressed his profound sadness and sent his condolences to the people of Britain. Many Hong Kongers paid tribute to the late British monarch by laying flowers outside the diplomatic mission. This woman said she burst into tears on hearing the news, describing Elizabeth as a great leader, adding that she felt the Queen was like a grandmother. This man said Elizabeth cared for Hong Kong people. The Queen visited Hong Kong twice in 1975 and 1986. She toured 2 public housing projects, Oiman Estate in Ho Man Tin and Long Hang Estate in Sha Tin. Health authorities are concerned that the surge in the number of children contracting COVID could add more stress to the public health system. With cases again exceeding 10,000, there's a call for people to avoid gatherings among families during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Chloe Fong reports.
The hospital authorities' Larry Lee expressed concern that the growing number of children infected with COVID could have an adverse impact on public health care. He said there are a limited number of children's wards. Since the 5th wave began, over 110,000 children under 11 years old contracted the virus, while 1 in 4 infected children under 3 years old were admitted to hospital last month. Just over a week into the new academic year, another 707 schools reported a total of 1,171 new infections, mostly students. Lee said while there's no need to suspend school operations for now, he appealed to parents to have their children vaccinated to avoid them falling seriously ill. The authorities also warned about violations of the health code system, saying they are following up on 40 people with red or amber codes who broke the isolation rules. 3 of them are being prosecuted. The city today registered 10,076 cases, including 154 imported ones. A total of 2,759 COVID patients are being treated in public hospitals, with 54 critically ill. There were also 11 deaths. With the Mid-Autumn Festival round the corner, Chuang Shu-kwan of the Center for Health Protection appealed to the public to conduct rapid antigen tests before attending social gatherings. She said anyone with COVID symptoms such as fever, sore throat, and headache should stay home. Chloe Fong, HKIBC.
Lawmakers have continued to press the government to further cut hotel quarantine for arrivals, but officials said adjustments will depend on scientific data. Health Secretary Lo Chung-mau said several factors have to be considered when modifying anti-COVID rules. Joanna Ho reports.
Speaking at a Legislative Council Health Panel meeting today, Roundtable lawmaker Michael Tian cited the low proportion of daily imported COVID cases recently and suggested the adoption of a 0+7 quarantine regime. He warned that unless there's a change, local talent and enterprises will be poached by countries that have reopened borders. But Health Secretary Lo Chung-mau emphasized the importance of relying on scientific figures before adjusting rules.
Be it 2+5, 1+6, or 0+7, we need to let the data speak. And after we've implemented the 3+4 model, we have been collecting data. The other point we need to consider is that it tends to have a high percentage of subvariant cases being imported, and this is what the government should consider.
Lo added that the recent low proportion of imported cases could be simply because of the increased daily caseload. Election Committee lawmaker Chen Pui-leung noted that some people have rejected invitations to attend a global banker summit in November, even if given quarantine exemption, because they did not want to be seen as being given extra privileges. Chen asked whether the government would relax the existing curbs. Lo, however, said anti-COVID policies are decided on several factors instead of a single conference or one round of events. During the meeting, Tian argued with panel chairman Tommy Yeung over the sequence of speakers. Tian, whose microphone was turned off during the exchange, was evicted from the meeting. Joanna Ho, HKIBC.
Police have successfully detonated a naval mine from the Second World War in waters near Cape Diagla. The bomb exploded, causing a splash at around 1 p.m. Marine police were on guard from the time the operation started this morning. Officers from the Explosive Ordnance Disposal Bureau arrived at the site by boat at around noon and left with Marine police after confirming the bomb's location on the seabed. 4 signal flares were then fired, followed by the mine exploding. Acting Senior Bomb Disposal Officer Suryanto Chin Chu said the release of explosives inside the bomb blacked the waves. Dead fish were reportedly seen at the site, but Suryanto said the environmental impact of the operation was minimal. Inflation in China has eased as COVID lockdowns and a power shortage took their toll. Last month's consumer price index rose 2.5% from a year ago and was slightly down from July, mainly as food prices dipped. Producer prices gained 2.3%, the slowest pace in 17 months. The figures suggest that recent stimulus measures have yet to spur a rebound. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng ended the day up by 507 points. To the top 10 active stocks, Tencent picked up $5.20, while Meituan gained $8.40. China Mobile was up by $1.30, while Ping An Insurance was up by $2.40. To the forex trading against the Hong Kong dollar, the euro's at 7.88, the pound sterling at 9.08, and the Australian dollar at 5.36. Over in Europe, the London FTSE is currently up by 106 points. On to the weather now. Mainly fine and dry on Mid-Autumn Festival tomorrow, but there could be clouds later. Temperatures will range between 27 and 32 degrees, rising to 34 degrees on Monday. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Friday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Raymond Yeung. Thanks for watching. Good night.